I grew up in an alcoholic's home. Both of my parents were alcoholics. I had two sisters, and I had an abusive dad and a mom that she wasn't really there because she was drunk all the time. But until I was about 7 or 8, I thought that was normal, and it was normal for my parents to drive around drinking. And I can still remember them pouring the alcohol into like just a normal cup so people wouldn't know. And we lived that secret life for so long, and we used to beg my mom to leave my dad. We used to just beg her, and she couldn't do it because she was just too drunk, really. And so one day she decided that she would start hiding money in her pants, and because my dad would take everything and spend it, on his addictions. And she started hiding money, and we left. And he killed himself when I was 15 years old. And when you live in that kind of addiction, you either get away from it, which is what my sisters did, or you can't break the cycle because that's just what you're used to seeing. And so from a very young age, I started doing drugs. I was 15 when I started doing drugs. And at first it was pills, and then eventually it was meth. And I couldn't get sober. They would ship me off to rehab. They would ship me off to a mental hospital because they didn't know how to handle the drug addiction. And I went to one rehab, and I got clean. I was there for 7 months, and when I got out, I was 17 years old, and I was pregnant, and I had my first baby, Landon. And I didn't know how to be a mom because I was a teenager, and I didn't know how to be a mom because nobody taught me, and I couldn't stay off of drugs. And eventually, when Landon was about 1, CPS took him, and honestly, I couldn't care because I was so high on drugs that it didn't affect me the way that it should have affected me. And so I let Landon live his life with my family, and I continued to do drugs, and I continued to go to jail, and I continued to try to get clean, but I couldn't. And here I was, this 18-year-old girl who lived in a drug house with 3 grown men, and it was sad, and I didn't know that it was so sad. Finally, I went to jail one last time, and I can remember, I can still feel the cold floor of the jail. I stayed there for a while, about 40 days, and I got out, and I got clean, and I took some parenting classes, and eventually I got Landon back. But I still struggled. I was in my early 20s. I still struggled with going out on the weekends with my friends. I was sober from drugs, but I was still, going to drink with friends, and something was missing. And one night, my friend came over, and she said, "I have to tell you something." And I was like, "Okay, tell me." And she goes, "I want to tell you about Jesus." And I was like, "Okay." And so she told me, and that night I gave my life to the Lord, And it was a defining moment in my life where I came to know Jesus, and it was life-changing for me. And I'll never, ever forget it, ever. And after that, my life changed radically. It was no more drinking on the weekends. It all stopped. Everything stopped. And I met Derek, and we eventually got married, and now we have 5 kids, which I never thought was possible for me, because I didn't ever think that I would have the family that I have or the husband that I have. Like this morning before I left, Derek was with the kids and they were painting his toenails, and I just never thought that I would have a husband like that. I was supposed to be my mom. I was supposed to be a drug addict, and God changed that for me, and it's incredible, and it's still changing, and I love it. I love my life. But it wouldn't be this way if I didn't have a relationship with the Lord. It would not be this way.